This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. Russia said that Ukraine acquiring Patriot missiles from the United States announced during President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Washington would not help settle the conflict or prevent Moscow from achieving its goals. Though the Patriot air defense system is widely regarded as advanced, President Vladimir Putin dismissed it as quite old, telling reporters Moscow would find a way to counter it. At the same time, he said Russia wants an end to the war in Ukraine and that this would inevitably involve a diplomatic solution. These comments drew quick US skepticism. White House spokesman John Kirby said Putin had shown absolutely zero indication that he is willing to negotiate an end to the war. Russia has repeatedly said it is open to negotiations, but Ukraine and its allies suspect a ploy to buy time after a series of Russian battlefield defeats and retreats that have swung the momentum of the 10-month war in favor of Ukraine. Zelensky returns from his first wartime foreign trip, buoyed by the support shown by President Joe Biden on Wednesday. North Korea fired 2 ballistic missiles towards the sea off its coast on Friday, the South Korean military said, the latest in an unprecedented number of missile tests this year, coming only days after 2 other missiles were launched and just after allegations were made on Thursday the country is shipping munitions to Russian forces in Ukraine. The incident shows that North Korea does not intend to stop the provocative actions its neighbors say are destabilizing regional security. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said the missiles flew 350 kilometers and 250 kilometers respectively after being fired at around 4:30 p.m. from the Sunan area of the North Korean capital, Pyongyang. Japan's Coast Guard also reported a suspected ballistic missile launch. Such launches are a serious provocation that harms peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula and beyond, and a clear violation of UN resolutions, the JCS said, urging an immediate halt. Japan's State Minister of Defense Toshiro Ino said his country has lodged a strong protest to North Korea through diplomatic channels in Beijing. Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno condemned the latest launch as absolutely unacceptable. Israeli police have shot dead a Palestinian citizen of Israel in the central city of Kfar Qasim in an incident that also left at least 3 police officers injured, authorities and medics said. Family members of the man killed on Friday were quoted by the Palestinian Arab 48 website as denying police allegations that the man had been attempting to attack the officers. Israeli police said its officers had been lured into an ambush in Kfar Qasim, a Palestinian city in Israel, 90 kilometers northeast of Tel Aviv and just outside the occupied West Bank. The police alleged that its officers were responding to a false report of a violent incident where a man attempted to open fire on them before later ramming a car into some officers, leaving them lightly wounded. Security camera footage released by Israeli police shows a man emerging out of a building and attempting to fire on what appears to be a police officer before a car later emerges and reverses towards a crowd of officers. Israel's Magen David Adom Emergency Service said that is when the police shot the man. Soldiers and police said they found an automatic weapon along with a knife and tear gas at the scene. Kfar Qasim is one of a number of Palestinian majority population centers in Israel struggling with surging violent crime. Residents say they are abandoned by the Israeli government, leading to greater criminality and increased poverty. The United States must stop its old routine of unilateral bullying, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has told US Secretary of State Antony Blinken in a telephone call. Wang on Friday accused the US of trying to suppress China's development. Washington must pay attention to Beijing's legitimate concerns, he said, warning the US against trying to challenge China's red lines using, in quote, salami slicing tactics. He was referring to the practice of using a series of small actions to achieve a much larger result that would be difficult to accomplish with a single large action. The remarks by Wang underscored the deep tensions that mark relations between the world's 2 largest economies, even as their leaders have tried to re-engage in diplomacy in recent weeks. Chinese President Xi Jinping met US President Joe Biden at the G20 summit in Bali last month, where they discussed a number of hot-button issues, including Taiwan. It was their first in-person talk since 2017. China considers Taiwan its own territory and believes the US is slowly chipping away at its core interest and challenging its bottom line, while being careful to avoid a single drastic action that could give China a clear reason to react with full force. Biden had raised objections to China's coercive and increasingly aggressive actions towards Taiwan, which he said undermined peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and in the border region and jeopardized global prosperity. Xi called it the first red line that must not be crossed in China-US relations. Japan's core consumer inflation hit a fresh 4-decade high as companies continued to pass on rising costs to households. Data showed a sign price hikes were broadening and could keep the central bank under pressure to whittle down massive stimulus months before Tuesday's surprise tweak to its yield control policy. Bank of Japan BOJ policymakers had discussed the potential market impact of a future exit from ultra-low interest rates. Minutes of their October meeting showed on Friday. While many retailers plan further hikes for food products next year, the outlook for inflation and the timing of any further BOJ policy tweaks are muddled by the risk of global recession and uncertainty over the pace of wage hikes, analysts say. Japan's core consumer price index CPI, which excludes volatile fresh food but includes energy costs, rose by 3.7% in November from a year earlier. Data showed on Friday, matching market forecast and perking up from a 3.6% gain in October. It was the biggest rise since a 4.0% jump seen in December 1981, when inflation was still high from the impact of the 1979 oil shock and the booming economy. That is the size of top accurate global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy weekend.